My motto on this channel has been don't drop your phone, and people don't like it when I say that. I do want to be clear that it is a joke. Of course, things happen. I have dropped a phone or two in my day, and though I haven't broken it, maybe I should get a big, heavy, durable phone. Just like Alex unboxed the heavy-duty laptop that Dan now uses, maybe these heavy-duty devices make sense. Today we're checking out the Doogee V30T, which is a heavy-duty phone, and you can tell that it's meant to be dropped and damaged because it even comes with a screen protector, though this doesn't feel like a whole lot. Let's see what else is in the box here. We got warranty stuff and a cool QR code that you can use for 1 USD free data. Scan that, whatever that means. Now, if you don't know Doogee, they've been around since 2013, and their thing is making ruggedized phones. In fact, their slogan is live your life. You shouldn't have to worry about battery life. You shouldn't have to worry about durability. And, let's see if it can live up to those claims. I like what everything is coming with. It comes with screen protector, screen cleaners, the SAR value specification, which I believe is like the radiation that comes off of your phone, a quick start guide that we're not gonna read, and then a thick manual. Freeze frame if you want to read something in there. We also have a big charger. It's actually the 66 watt fast charger. So that's the max amount of wattage that the phone can accept. So they advertise 0 to 55% in just 30 minutes, which is pretty darn good. And then we also have a USB-C to C cable. Looks about 3 feet and is very rubbery. That's what USB-C looks like if you don't remember. And that's everything in the box. So let's put all this away and take a look at the phone itself, because obviously durable phones have a look to them. And this one, I'm pretty sure, has that same look. Oh, nice. So this comes in a few different colors, but I was really excited to see the marble. So it comes in a rose gold as well as a galaxy gray, but this is the marble. Ignore the goo. There was a sticker there that did not come off clearly, but I gotta say, I am a lot less excited about this color now. I don't know how easy it is to tell, but it is low resolution. It's cool in theory, like the pattern is kind of cool, but again, they needed a higher resolution image. Everybody tweet at dbrand to get them to make skins for this, because man, this looks awful. Stick with the rose gold or the gray. Other than the sticker goo and low resolution color on the back, the other noticeable thing is just how heavy and thick this is. So it has a 10,800 milliamp hour battery, which means that in theory it should last forever, but let's see just how much it weighs. Oh, that's pounds. I was like, what the hell? That's so heavy. 385 grams. So the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is like a big, heavy glass metal phone, is only 240 grams, which is light in comparison. Again, it's not super unwieldy, but if you're bringing this to a concert and you're like holding your phone up the whole time, your arms are going to be jacked by the end. So win-win, I guess. Obviously, what makes it so big and heavy outside the battery is the protection. So this is IP68 and IP69K rated. So the IP68 of that means that it's fully dust resistant and can be submerged in water for a certain amount of time. It's kind of at that point up to what the manufacturer actually says, but it's been tested and can stay submerged for quite a while. And the 69K means it can be hit with jet streams of high and low temperatures from any angle, and there'll be no water ingress. So this is pretty much completely sealed no matter what, which is awesome. It's also military standard tested up to 810H, which is I think the latest testing, which is drop, impact, sand, and like a huge list of tests that it all passed. So it should be pretty solid. And they also claim drop to concrete resistance up to 1.5 meters. So I, in theory, should be able to drop this on the floor and it will not break, but I'm not gonna test it because my luck is very bad and this video would be very short. And I believe that it's definitely tested to those standards because again, it looks rugged. It's got these metal rails, the rubber corners, and somehow there's still a bit of a camera bump, which seems silly when your phone is this thick, but I guess it means that you're not resting your camera on the lenses itself, though I doubt that's gonna be doing much. And of course, you have the Doogee logo that's also pop out. For comparison, here's the kind of heavy duty laptop that I was talking about earlier that Dan uses. It's a beast, and as you can tell, looks very similar, though this laptop has carbon fiber and it's covered in Dan goo. Ooh. But let's talk about the screen, because obviously that's what you're looking at on the phone. On the front, we have a 6.58 inch 120 hertz LCD. Though 6.58 inches is, pretty standard for a large phone, it's actually more like 7 inches from end to end, which made it long enough that it wouldn't fit in my car's wireless charger. It just couldn't get in and under to actually wirelessly charge, though this does support 15-watt wireless charging, which is nice. On the front, that is Gorilla Glass 5, which is nice, and there's already a built-in screen protector, which is great. So you get an extra one in the box, and then one already on it. On the right side, we have our power button / fingerprint scanner and our volume buttons. It's nicely knurled as well. I like the look of the visible screws as well. It's kind of a neat industrial look. On the top, we got absolutely nothing. On the left side of the phone, we have our SIM card and SD card slot, which is great. And then an action button. So you can program that to do different things when you press it, double press it, or hold the button as well. And it's also got a nice texture to it. Let's open this up and actually see what this looks like for this toolless slot. Oh, great. Oh, holy smokes. So we have the SD card slot and SIM just in this one section here. And it does support dual SIM as well, so that's great. And on the bottom, we have our charging port and mic hole nicely covered up to keep everything waterproof in there. I'm not a huge fan of having to use a little cover like this, but again, if that's gonna make your phone like waterproof instead of water resistant, it seems like a fair trade. One thing that will be a little bit disappointing, especially on such a big phone, no headphone jack. It would be nice to have, even if it does require another cover. You don't really get the size excuse here. It must just be for waterproofing reasons, but again, if you can do little flaps to keep things waterproof, it seems like it should be on here. On the front, we have our dual stereo speakers, and these grills are huge. So we have the earpiece here, and then these two speakers, and two more at the bottom. And when we turn it on, it has a notification LED on the front here, which is awesome. If you've never had a phone with a notification LED, it's great. When your phone's just up and charging, you'll see like a flashing green light for WhatsApp notifications or a flashing red light for Instagram or whatever like that. It's really nice to see. It's not something you actually see very often anymore, but it used to be pretty popular back in like the Galaxy S3 days. Super, super popular, and I'm glad to see it makes an appearance here. And I think the last thing I didn't mention is the camera setup on the back. So we have our triple camera setup that we'll take a look at here in a bit, as well as 4 flashes, which is kind of unique. Well, with all that, I guess the last thing to do is turn it on, but not before I tell you about our sponsor. Thanks to UGREEN for sponsoring today's video. Introducing the UGREEN 12-in-1 docking station, the ultimate work companion. Enjoy a 12-in-1 expansion experience that includes 8K or 4K HDMI, DisplayPort, USB, Ethernet, SD cards, and aux ports, and has support for up to 3 monitors with DisplayLink. Transfer files at up to 10 gigabits per second and charge laptops up to 85 watts with the included 100-watt GAN charger. Upgrade your work setup with UGREEN for enhanced productivity and convenience. Check them out using the link down below. All right, launching into the phone here. What's nice is it is a pretty basic skin of Android. Nothing too crazy on here. There are child modes and easy modes and stuff like that, but one weird thing is that it's Android 12. I'm not sure why they wouldn't go for Android 13. Maybe they wanted something a bit more stable by going with something that's older, but this phone only came out in May, so I'm not sure why they wouldn't go for Android 13, and it doesn't really bode well that you're gonna be getting updates over time. Like if your phone's already out of date by the time you get it, you're really just crossing your fingers that you're gonna get 13, 14 and beyond. They don't make any statements about how long you're gonna get the updates for or anything like that, so something to keep in mind if you do like to keep up to date with the latest Android updates. One thing I do like, I went to grab the quick settings menu so I can turn on screen recording, and I really like this layout. Has the brightness really accessible, some large icons for things you use very frequently, and then a bunch of small icons. It just gives you a lot of options right off the bat for things you can change on a quick toggle. Another thing I noticed is going to do screen capture is there's a funny mode. But funny just means it gives you like rectangular capture, lasso capture, and things like that. And I didn't laugh when I saw that. As for specs on the phone, it has 12 gigs of DDR5 RAM and 256 gigs of storage, and it's powered by a MediaTek Dimensity 1080. So it's a mid-range phone. That chip is actually in the Samsung A34 5G, which came out earlier this year as well. But performance isn't too bad. I had Labs take a look at it, and we'll see some gaming results later on. But overall, not bad. 256 gigs of storage is great, especially when you can throw an SD card in there of like a terabyte or 2 terabytes now, whatever the max is, which is awesome to see. Let's try the fingerprint scanner though. It's something that you're gonna use pretty often, so if it's slow, it's always painful. Ooh, okay, that was a little slow. So when I touch my thumb, I do feel it. It's just taking that long to actually unlock. On their website, they do claim it's like 0.19 seconds to unlock, and I believe it. Like I said, I do feel it vibrating when I push a button, but that's a hot minute to actually display anything. All right, this has got some beefy speakers that add a lot of space to this phone, so let's try Crab Rave. It looks and sounds okay. It definitely gets loud. In fact, when the ocean sounds were coming in, it was like all treble. It was pretty darn shrill, and I was like, whoa, this is gonna be crazy. But by the time I actually started playing music, it wasn't too loud. It was clear, like it didn't seem like there was much distortion, but I wouldn't say it sounded very good, and it didn't sound super wide, though it definitely was shooting right at my face. Don't take that out of context. As for colors and display, it looks okay. It's definitely an LCD, like you're not getting any super dark blacks, and at only Full HD Plus, again, it's not gonna be amazingly sharp, and it's definitely serviceable. Like if you're somebody who needs a heavy duty phone or something with a huge battery, I don't think the screen is so bad that it's gonna undo all the good that this phone might have going for it, but you know, it's not an OLED, it's not a high resolution screen. One thing I did notice is that I just maxed out the brightness on the slider, which obviously is not the same as when it's in auto brightness. Sometimes it allows the phone to get a bit brighter. It just didn't get as bright as I would like, especially if you're using this phone in an outdoor scenario, like maybe working trades and you're on rooftops or on work sites. If it only gets as bright as labs tested it at, which was 445 nits, it will be visible, but maybe not as visible as you would like, which is again disappointing for something that's so rugged and maybe appeals to those who are working in outdoor situations. But maybe the camera saves this. It has 108 megapixels. That's a lot of megapixels. So our main sensor is the 108 megapixel Samsung sensor. What's nice is it does have optical image stabilization and face detection autofocus, so it should be able to get that focus really quick, and photos should come out pretty clear, even if you have shaky hands. As for these other two, I don't know what the order is, but one is the 20 megapixel night vision camera using a Sony sensor, and the other is a 16 megapixel ultra wide and macro camera. It just uses that ultra wide lens to take macro photos as well, though it doesn't say who makes the sensor, whether it's Samsung or Sony, or neither. We'll never know. But let's see, I went outside and took some photos to get something maybe a bit more interesting than just the black wall. It's a gray day outside, classic Vancouver summer, so it's hard to get the full contrasty dynamic range that we've kind of had when we tested other phones, but taking a look at the colors, things are pretty darn sharp. I gotta say, it looks pretty decent. It's a little muted and looks a little bit kind of faded, but I would say the actual quality of the image looks quite good. I also went and took a photo in the 108 megapixel mode, and yeah, you know, it doesn't look bad. I think these are photos that you could probably get quite a lot out of if you spend the time to edit them, even if it's just applying filters on Instagram or whatever like that. I think a good neutral photo is better than having a photo that's been over processed, because it's really hard to dial back. This one here is the ultra wide photo, and there is a bit of distortion, like it kind of looks like things are kind of starting to warp and lean towards you at the bottom and top of the frame, but I don't think it's horrendous, though you do lose a bit of quality and everything just looks a little bit more gray than things did in person or on the other lenses. All right, I also tried taking a video, 4K 30, to see how it looks and sounds, and to see if that optical image stabilization works. All right, here's me taking a video outside to test how the mics go and how the stabilization does. One thing to know is it still punches in, even though it should have optical image stabilization. So it's a little odd, but I don't know, is it stable? I'm jiggling around. There's some noise from big trucks outside. How do I sound? That sounds real bad. I don't know if it's just these speakers, but there's no bass in my voice, and it's quite shrill. It does not sound great. It also looks pretty choppy. I don't know if I'm just spoiled and have been filming in 60 FPS without realizing it, but that video did not look good, and it just makes it look less stable, even though you can see that when I'm jiggling the phone, things don't look like they're warping or anything like that. The choppiness of that frame rate really just is not doing very well. But maybe the infrared camera is gonna save this whole thing. You're always taking pictures in pure blackness. Here's a photo over in the dark part of logistics when we turn off all the lights for filming, and it's pretty blurry. It looks like it didn't catch the focus, which is interesting. But I mean, it's a cool black and white photo if you're into that. Also take a picture in the bathroom. Look at that, so artistic. And I also took a video to see, again, what that looks like. It does pretty well, I gotta say. This is the only dark room I can find. If I turn it, has like a Blair Witch feel to it. I don't know if that's what you're aiming for, but if you want to do that, you can. But let's try out the selfie camera, see if that's gonna save this whole thing. And let's try taking a video. This is me taking a video. Maybe the mic sounds better. I mean, it looks good in this preview, and again, I'm staying pretty well exposed. Skin color looks accurate. One thing to know is it only allows for 1080p recording. And it didn't say the frame rate, but I'm assuming 30. In the preview here, it does look like it's stuttering a little bit, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, I gotta say, it looks pretty good. So it's a 32 megapixel Sony sensor, and everything looks sharp. It doesn't look like there's any beautifications on. You can see where my beard needs a trim and all the detail in the background as well. And yeah, I look true to life. It doesn't look like it's trying to whiten me up or darken me. It just looks like me, for better or worse, am I right? There he is, Glenn. And yeah, again, it does actually really well with these bright lights on the either side, and then Glenn being in the shadows still keeps all of us in the photo and clear, which is great. And the video looks okay. I would say it maybe looks a little over sharpened, which is interesting because the photos didn't. But again, maybe that looks different when it's blown up and actually playing, which you would have seen. So, all right, let's talk gaming. For gaming performance, the phone performed pretty okay. For playing Mario Kart Wii on Dolphin Emulator, we were able to get a median of 49 FPS, 5% of 14 FPS, and a 1% of 9 FPS, which is okay. And for COD Mobile, we got a max of 62 FPS with a 5% of 60 and a 1% of 53, which means it's almost flawless. And for Unhappy Raccoon, we got a median of 55 FPS with a 1% of 49 FPS, which again means it's pretty darn solid. But where this shines is the battery. We had labs do their longevity test, which is again playing a YouTube video at a low brightness and, you know, kind of a best case scenario to see how long it'll last. And it was able to get 33 hours. For the stress test to get the lowest amount of battery you can expect, which is running everything at maximum, including brightness, it got 11 hours, which is great. By comparison, in the Sony Xperia 1.5 video we did just a couple weeks ago, it got 2.2 hours. 11 hours. That's nuts. That means you can spend your whole workday playing COD Mobile on max graphics and max brightness, and probably max speakers too, if you want to bug your coworkers. I know that's what I do. But overall, you know, this is more than just a battery. If you wanted that, you could just spend $40 and buy a battery pack and plug it into your great phone. It needs to be more than that. It needs to be the complete package. For $700 or on sale for $450, which is pretty crazy considering the phone just came out in May and we're currently filming in middle of June. That's a pretty darn decent price for a phone you can supposedly roughhouse with and, you know, a decent enough screen and speaker setup. This seems to be a pretty solid choice. I feel like if this had a headphone jack, it really would be a complete package as a phone that's rugged, durable, and could in theory last you quite a long period of time outside of, you know, potentially not getting software updates, which is quite a bit of an issue. This could be a really easy recommendation, but $700 is a high price. At $450 though, that's, you know, a pretty solid price. If that was the regular price, you know, I'd probably say go out and get this, but $750, I mean, you're getting into flagships. Get last year's flagships for that price. I don't know. But what do you think? Let us know down below. Are you somebody who would buy a rugged phone? Does the camera matter to you, or would you rather have a phone that lasts for days on end? I think I might be swayed to one of these mid-ranger phones.